Which app do you use for maps? Map apps are essential, especially when traveling abroad. I use Google Maps when I travel abroad, and if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be able to get back to Korea. Despite its usefulness abroad, most Koreans, including me, don't use it in Korea. Why is that? Google Maps is a global mapping app available in more than 200 countries. It provides not only restaurant and place information, but also driving directions, traffic flow information, cycling and walking directions, disaster situations, and so much more. However, the Google Maps service in South Korea is incomplete. It is inaccurate and only some features are available. For example, when using Google Maps for directions, you can't get driving, walking, and cycling directions. There's no real-time public transport information, Street View is 5 years out of date, and it's not available in all but the biggest cities. This is a stark contrast to the situation in neighboring Japan. Google Maps, which is ubiquitous around the world, is completely unavailable to Koreans. The reason for this lack of access to Google Maps in South Korea is clear. South Korea is in the unique position of being in a ceasefire. South Korea cannot legally take its precise maps out of the country. The war with its neighbor, North Korea, has not yet ended ostensibly. For security reasons, the South Korean government strictly prohibits the export of precision maps out of the country. If you want to take them out of the country, you must get approval from the Minister of Land, Infrastructure, and Transport. Google has been asking the South Korean government since 2007 to export the precise maps. In 2010, the South Korean government offered to give them the map data only if they set up a server in South Korea, but Google declined. In 2016, Google once again asked the South Korean government to hand over the maps, and unlike before, this time it sparked a lot of interest. As Pokémon Go, an augmented reality game based on Google Maps, became hugely popular around the world, Google's demand to hand over the map data garnered more public support than before. This time, it seemed that Google might succeed in getting the maps handed over. However, the National Assembly and the South Korean IT industry were very vocal in their opposition, with some lawmakers arguing that the maps Google wanted to take were much more precise than the maps Google services in other countries. The South Korean IT industry also complained that Google tried to ship the maps overseas instead of setting up data servers in South Korea, despite having the financial resources to do so. In the end, Google's attempts were ultimately unsuccessful. Did Google finally give up on taking the maps out of Korea? Google, which has not updated the map of Korea for about 5 years since 2016, released a major update 2 years ago in 2021. While this has made it much more usable than before, it still lacks the accuracy compared to other map apps, with some areas still being labeled with old names and others incorrectly. This is because they get their map data from SK Telecom, a South Korean company, rather than collecting their own data. So which map apps do Koreans use? Koreans use Naver Maps, Kakao Maps, and T-Maps. These are all popular map apps made by large Korean companies. Naver Maps is a map app created by Naver, South Korea's leading portal site, and is therefore the most used and popular. Kakao Maps is made by Kakao, the makers of South Korea's most popular messenger app, KakaoTalk, so it has a strong tie-in with KakaoTalk. Both apps fill in some of the gaps that Google Maps lacks, such as real-time public transport and restaurant information. Tmap is a navigation app created by SK Telecom, a South Korean telecommunications company. This app specializes in navigation functions for car drivers. It provides real-time, optimal route guidance based on a vast amount of user information. If you have an opportunity to travel to South Korea, why not download a Korean map app? Naver and Kakao's map apps officially support English. Here's another company that has followed Google into the Korean Maps export war, which is Apple. Apple very recently, last month, asked the government for permission to take its precision mapping data out of the country, but like Google, it was turned down. Apple hasn't said why they asked the government for permission to take its precise maps out of the country, but it's likely because of Apple Pay. Apple launched its payment system Apple Pay in South Korea on Tuesday 21st, and it is believed that Apple requested the maps in order to display Apple Pay merchants on Apple Maps. As such, Apple's map service is not working smoothly in South Korea, causing inconvenience for those using Apple devices in South Korea. The Find My feature, which allows you to locate your devices if you lose it, doesn't work at all in South Korea. You can't even share your location with others in iMessage. This is because Korean law requires that individuals' location information must be stored on servers for 6 months in South Korea for location tracking and other purposes, and Apple refused to comply with this policy. Some say this is discrimination against foreign companies and overregulation. But others say that this has allowed local companies to grow, and that it would have led to a monopoly of information if the big foreign companies had taken the precise maps. Today we've covered why Google Maps isn't available in South Korea. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and like it. We'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.